first place by fiat, you or I would be arrested for doing the same. The mad rush by banks to make maximum profits is said to be responsible for 2008 credit crisis. The prophecy made by Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is reported to have said that intensity of ruin in store for those who increase their riches using interest will be in accordance with how much interest they received. Ibn Majah. Any sane person who understands that fiat money fiasco and credit creation scam, we are into turn real assets over to bankers who simply push buttons to make money out of thin air, will immediately begin searching for an interest-free system, and that will naturally take him or her to Islamic banking system. In the 1940s, discussions about the alternative banking system began. In the last 4 decades, it is the Islamic banking system that has emerged as the surprise, competitive and viable substitute for conventional banking. Elimination of riba, interest in all its forms is an important feature of Islamic financial system. Islamic banking is much more, however. At the heart of Islam is a sense of cooperation to help one another according to principles of goodness and piety. Islamic finance may be viewed as a form of ethical investing or lending, except that no loans are possible until they are interest-free. The Islamic financial system promotes the concept of participation in a transaction backed by real assets, utilizing funds at risk on a profit and loss sharing basis. This is by no means implies that investment with financial institutions are necessarily speculative. This can be minimized by careful investment policy, diversification of risk, and prudent management. The concept of profit and loss sharing in an enterprise as a basis of financial transactions in a progressive one, as it distinguished good performance from bad and mediocre. The Islamic banks have reportedly weathered the storm of the recent credit crisis very well. What is important is that this capacity is solely due to the humane nature of their investing and lending enterprise. It is Islam's principles of ethical wealth acquisition, disbursement, and gifting that have shielded the Islamic banks. Allah alone is the provider. Allah alone is the protector. In a world neck deep in the lethal interest system, the emergence of the Islamic banking system offers a handhold of hope. Yet, honesty and fear of God compels us to admit that many of these institutions do not, for various reasons, function in complete accord with the Islamic principles of blessed and moral wealth. They have their limitations, not least of which is the sheer viciousness of the league they operate in. They are forced to follow the same monetary policies evolved over the past few centuries, but they have been able to make some effort to make at least few changes in the present world economic system and show the world that there is a viable alternative that can be followed. The first major effort by these Islamic banks to add momentum to this change is to adopt a currency based on its equivalent value of gold, silver, platinum, copper, or similarly precious commodities. If the electronic money that is inevitably going to be widely used in the world in the near future is given the guarantee of a value of commodities, it will be a great beginning. In such a scenario, poor and developing countries will become primary beneficiaries of the Islamic banking system, and they will surely recognize this. It is high time that the world realize that the present economic system is based on myths and frauds. Let the nations that Allah has blessed with real commodity wealth then rethink their financial policies and invest in value-based commodities in order to be able to lead the world down the financial straight path. Then they will be able to rescue the developing countries from the debt, interest, boobies trap they have fallen into. The world is craving change, and the key to that change has been placed in the hands of the Muslims. The current crisis represents an opportunity for Muslims to present the Islamic economic system as an alternative. Are Muslims ready to transform themselves and the world using the knowledge that God the all-knowing, has entrusted to them. Are Muslims courageous enough to declare to the world, as Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam did to the Egyptian king facing catastrophic economic crisis? Through Yusuf alayhi salam must have appeared the most unlikely candidate to do so, a slave coming forth from the depths of the prison. قَالَ جِعَلْنِي عَلَىٰ خَزَائِنِ الْأَرْضِ إِنِّي حَفِيظٌ عَلِيمٌ. Appoint me over the treasuries of the land. I am a good keeper and well-knowing. This is no utopian pipe dream. History itself has made it clear that Islam's economic solutions and directives are practical, based on the human welfare of the most vulnerable among us, and bound to universally better and terrible human condition. If people blessed by Allah with knowledge of the principal sources of revelation, numbers, power, wealth, and humility in the face of His coming judgment become ready for this, it will be the beginning of one of the great transformation of human history, for which man is surely due. It will be the beginning of an exploitation-free economic order and humane, locally driven globalization, returning man to his original state of collective stewardship and individual freedom. Yes, let we Muslims say, Ij'alni ala khaza'inil ardi inni hafizun alim. Appoint me over the treasuries of the land. I am a good keeper and well-knowing. As I told, this is a presentation on the Islamic analysis of the current financial crisis. So as I concluded, the key of transformation of the world is on the hands of the Muslims. So, as a message of the session of this conference, I would like to put forward that message to the Muslims of the world, to the rulers, Muslim rulers, as well as to the economists of the Muslim world. We have to have a currency monetary system, and more perfect Islamic banking system can be achieved through our own monetary system. Without a monetary system which is backed upon intrinsic commodities, these crises will never end up. So this is a message of the total session, the economic session, that is, the Islam has the solution for the crisis, but that solution is not superficial. We have to go to the roots and find solution to that. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallahu khaira, Sheikh M.M.Akbar. We will now have time, inshallah, for the question and answer session. As previously, we have the 2 mics for the brothers and 1 for the sisters, which will alternate in between. So once we are ready, we'll have the first question from the brother's mic on the right-hand side.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. My name is Humayun. I am the student of finance. My question is about interest. That our holy religion, Islam, and the glorious Quran says that أُحِلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. It means that interest is haram. But according to the most of accounting books and finance books, as well as the financial analysts and bankers and I as a finance students, we don't think so. Because, sir, you know better that money losing its value from time to time. And these bankers and financial analysts says that this is not actually the interest. This is only the cost which we take from you because of the devaluation of money. So please comment on this, sir.
The problem of devaluation of money emerges from this fiat currency. That is why when I analyzed the present financial crisis, I first told that the base is on the monetary system. That monetary system lies on the fiat currency. That means a currency which doesn't have an intrinsic value. Money become money because government say it is money. No value is there. So not only the devaluation, but the transactions, lending will not be possible in this system legitimately. Accurately will not be possible in this system. For example, for instance, let me say a person from here who is working over here borrowed 1 million dinars from a merchant at Kuwait before Saddam's invasion. And he put up a very good business over here. And he utilized that business, that amount in that business. When Saddam Hussein called Kuwait, that money, he withdrawn that money. He withdrawn that money for some days. So the money, that dinar, did not have any value for that duration. It was available in the market for silly cash, pennies. So if the person who borrowed 1 million dinars at the time before Saddam's invasion, if he give back that amount at the time of the Saddam invasion, will it be legitimate? No. Why? The same money he got, he is giving back. Why not? Because it doesn't have any intrinsic value. So the basic problem lies on that. Inflationary trends are coming from that. All the money devaluation problems are emerging from that. So we have to have a monetary system which lies on something which has an intrinsic value. But the case of interest is different. Even though the monetary system is based on the fiat currency, interest is not permissible because it is against the laws of nature. That is why Allah prohibited it. Money is for what? What is the purpose of money? To buy goods, is it not? For the transaction of goods, money is necessary. So the laws of the goods should be suitable for money. Laws of goods should be suitable for money. What is the law of good? Third law of thermodynamics. No goods will grow itself. No goods will grow itself. It may deteriorate, but it will not expand. So money, the law of those goods should be suitable for the money. But in the interest system, it is not suitable. It's not suitable. Even though we are thinking on the financial, capitalistic financial system and financial economics, it is against the law of nature. And in Islam, it's prohibited also.
Jazakallahu khaira. We'll have the next question from the sister's mic.
This is a question from a sister. She says, why some scholars or students of knowledge follow the opinion that it is permissible to apply for a riba-based home loan if it is your first home or in a non-Muslim country where halal loan is not payable. Aren't they supposed to be patient and just rent house instead of engaging in riba?
Why some scholars say that interest system in a non-Muslim country is halal? It has to be asked to those scholars. Nowhere in Islam riba is allowed. As we learned from our scholar talk before, and from the Quran itself, chapter number 2, verse number 275. We heard the recitation, As the introduction of this session, riba is haram, even though he is in a non-Muslim country or in a Muslim country. So, we cannot justify riba in any circumstances. Riba, Muslims should be away from riba related activities. Then how could we get loans? That's the question. And Muslim societies should have something for assisting people who is backward in those fields. That's the only solution which is applicable in the non-Muslim countries.
The next question from the brother's mic on the left.
Assalamu alaikum, brother M.M.Akbar. In fact, we talk about Islamic banking system, Islamic financial institutions, whereas in reality, I think there is no difference between conventional banking system and the commercial banking system, except the transposition of word. Instead of interest or riba, it is profit rate. Instead of post-import finance, it is murabbaha. And instead of overdraft facility, it is tawruk. So in reality, I am experiencing this, and also I would like to add that there is profit rate instead of interest, but there is no loss rate in Islamic banking system. So in this juncture, do you think that Islamic banking system is a substitute for the conventional or the commercial banking system? Thank you.
Question is Islamic banking system do I think that is Islamic banking system a substitute for commercial banking system? As I told, Islamic banking system prevailing in the all over the world has its own limitations, because all the banking systems are based on the monetary policy, monetary economics prevailing in the world. So the root is in the monetary policy prevailing in the world. So without changing that, Islamic banking system will have some problems like our brother told. But it is not as similar as commercial banking system. In the Quran itself it is said Allah allowed trade and prohibited riba. What's the difference between that? In trade also, we are selling something, we are getting profit. Getting profit and loss, it is there in trade. But Allah says in the same ayah that Allah prohibited riba and trade. So, Islamic banking system, as the former speaker, he's an expert in Islamic banking system. You might, if you would have asked this question to him, it would be better because he is very much expertise in that system. So, even though the present Islamic banking system has its own limitations, it is not based on riba. It is not based on riba. That's the main difference between.
We'll have the next question from the sister's mic. If we don't have anybody there, I can't actually see from here. We'll go to the front mic for the brothers.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My question is, in the current situation in the world today, what type of investments can we make that would be 100% halal in the eyes of Allah?
In the eyes of Allah, what are the types of investments we can make that is 100% halal? All the investment except there is an involvement of riba and exploitation. No speculation business is allowed. No exploitation is allowed. All the transactions should be transparent. That's the only thing. No riba should come into the business. That's the only thing. You can do any business without having this.
Okay, inshallah, we'll have the next question from the sister's mic.
It's regarding the Islamic insurance. The sister wants to know what's the position of insurance, life insurance in Islam, and is there any halal insurance or Islamic insurance?
What's the position of life insurance in Islam? Is there any halal insurance in Islam. Insurance involved in riba. Most of the insurance companies in the secular world is involved in riba activities. Life insurance as well as other insurances. So the transactions with riba, with interest, in the name of insurance or in the name of anything else, it's haram. It is not allowed. But a social security system is allowed. That is what Islamic insurance is, as far as I know. Islamic insurance is an insurance. It doesn't involve in any riba connected activities. It is a social security system collecting money from various from a lot of people on a contract that if a person meet any accident or anything, he will be paid this much of amount. That is the basis of Islamic insurance system. That is a social security system without in connection with riba is halal. All other insurance which are connected with riba system is not allowed.
Jazakumullahu khaira. That is all the time that we do have for the question and answer session. So may Allah reward our dear Sheikh M.M.Akbar. Jazakallahu khaira.
Interest is one of the greatest bans of humanity. The Great Depression of 1927, the Black Swan event of 1987, and dot-com crisis of 2000 are all major economic crises that hurt the world economy. False credit ratings for the big corporations, boom and collapse of the shadow banking system, and a commodity bubble are the causes of the current financial crisis.